By 2019, it is expected that there will be 190,000 tech job openings in this country alone. That's evidence that our sector, the tech sector, is growing very rapidly. However, our next guest worries that these jobs won't be filled and says that in order to position the country as a global innovation leader, we need to boost our talent pool. And one of the ways to do that is to boost our immigration. Jayson Hilchie, President and CEO of the Entertainment Software Association of Canada, joins us now for more on this. Thanks so much for joining us, Jayson.
Great to be here. Thank
you.
So
this is an issue that you are lobbying for on behalf of your constituents, which are tech companies that are building things like video games. Is that right?
Yeah, we represent just video game companies, so those companies are building all sorts of video games here in Canada.
There does seem to be a consensus. I mean, I think now we've had about 3 guests from the tech sector that are saying we need these workers, we need skilled workers, and we need to boost our immigration. And then on the other hand, you have this pool of unemployed that are saying, well, what about me? Why can't you source me from this country? So how do we marry those two arguments?
It's challenging, and I think it's challenging especially in delivering the message, and I think the government has a challenge in that, and they know this. But I really think that the two of them are not really connected. I mean, if you look at the jobs that we're trying to fill in the high-skilled tech sector, especially video games, those jobs are not simply available here. Like, those people are in the intermediate to senior realms are fully employed in our industry. In order to find those people, we're either taking them from other video game studios down the street, from other tech companies, or we have to bring them in from abroad. To grow the economy, my view is that it's better to bring them in from abroad instead of just kicking the problem down to a competitor down the street.
So why not target retraining? Why not advocate for retraining to, I go back to that pool of unemployed who could work, and use them from our country first?
I think retraining would be a fantastic option. It just takes too long. So, for our industry, we need somebody. We're advocating for the federal government to speed up immigration processes from 4 months to something like, 3 to 4 weeks. Wow. Retraining to move into the tech industry, you're looking at years. And so especially to become a specialist in something that we do, such as making video games that are sold all over the world, it's not going to happen overnight. So it is a solution. I think it's definitely support it. It's just not something that's going to change and solve our problems.
We like numbers. They help provide context. We just showed our viewers some numbers around the tech sector broadly in Canada, but talk to us a little bit more about the companies that you work with, because sure, you're working with some homegrown video game companies. You're also working with the likes of Electronic Arts, which has a massive operation in BC, in Vancouver. So how many jobs are in the industry, for example? And if there was, say, this ability to bring in more foreign workers, what kind of jobs would be filled? Like, what are we talking about that was sort of that gap being filled?
So our industry right now employs close to 21,000 full-time workers. It's contributing $3 billion to Canadian GDP, and the average salary is over $71,000. So these are high-quality jobs. You're right. We work with a number of companies that are Canadian-owned and small, but we also work with large companies like Warner Brothers, Electronic Arts, Microsoft. In our industry right now, we've got 1,400 jobs that need to be filled in just the intermediate to senior categories over the next 2 years. So those are 5 to 15, 20-year experience. These are not new grad jobs, so that those are separate and independent from these. In order to fill those, we're going to need to bring in people from abroad because we simply just can't find those people here.
And when are we talking about from abroad? Are you trying to attract the talent pool from the U.S., or are you trying to look at the international pool and at least make a case for Canada over the United States?
Both. So we're trying to draw people from anywhere that we can find them that have the skill sets that we need to make the products here that we make.
You're obviously taking this message not only to us, but to policymakers. And so far, what has the feedback been?
The feedback has been positive. I mean, Minister Baines, Prime Minister Trudeau, they've all made public pronouncements about the need for high-skilled immigration, for increased immigration to grow our population and our talent pool. Our meetings with them have been very positive, and we're simply now trying to get the message out that these types of changes are going to actually create jobs for Canadians. They're not going to displace jobs, because right now we simply don't have the people here to fill the jobs that we need.
What are we talking salary-wise? Not that I'm looking for a career change.
Well, we could talk to you. So our jobs on average pay over $71,000 a year, and that is an average from junior to senior in all the different disciplines.
There's actually some of the U.S. Papers have highlighted the strong relationship on the West Coast between, say, the state of Washington and the province of British Columbia, because you have, you mentioned Microsoft and EA, two companies that have, going down to California as well, a pretty sort of healthy traffic of people going back and forth. So I guess my question is, with all those jobs that you need to fill, whatever the 1,400, if the industry cannot successfully fill those, does that risk hurting the growth of these companies, which are helping the overall Canadian economy? Do those jobs get filled in the U.S.? Because the U.S. seems to be a partner on many levels, especially these companies like EA.
Yep.
Or do those jobs go to somewhere in Europe or Asia?
The answer is both. So if we're unable to find the people that we need to make the products that we make here, the companies will simply go to places where they're able to either, one, find the talent domestically, or those countries or jurisdictions have policies that enable them to bring those people in. I mean, it's as simple as that.
One of the things that Canadian tech laments is the inability to kind of grow a company and keep it here once it reaches a certain size. It either gets purchased or it moves south of the border when it needs things like capital. Is this job shortage, skill shortage exacerbating that, or is that just part of kind of an overall equation?
I think that from a company standpoint, most of the small companies in Canada, they grow to a certain point in our industry as well, and then they become acquired. A lot of the major companies that we represent started in Canada by acquiring another company. But in terms of what's exacerbating the problem for us is really the competition with U.S. employers that are coming to Canada and targeting new grads right out of the University of Waterloo and other high-tech schools and luring them to the States. That's making the challenge for us even more acute here right now.
Jayson, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Jayson Hilchie is the President and CEO of the Entertainment Software Association of Canada.